This is seen to be being repeated more and more these days, Mark, that there doesn't seem to be a plan B when it comes to Postecoglou's tactics. Are we anywhere near a conversation where Daniel Levy's questioning his appointment?
Not at the moment. I think that is maybe 2 weeks away. I think, look, the next 3 games are games that Spurs should really win. They've got Rangers away in the Europa League, they've got Southampton away in the Premier League, and they've got Man United at home in the Carabao Cup. So their games are, you know, if you're Tottenham, you would expect to win those games, especially against the Man United, the form they're in right now. After that, they've got Liverpool at home. So they have to come through that period of games with at least 2 wins, I think, just to keep the Wolves at bay. I've been told there's no sense at the moment that Daniel Levy wants to make a change. I think he thinks that they can get through this. But you're right, there's no plan B. But I think also, the issue with the results is one thing, but I think the next 3 games are also, it's important what Ange says, because he's got himself into trouble a little bit with Tottenham fans who've lost a bit of faith by what he said over the last 6 months. He questioned he questioned them questioning him about whether he wanted to take the certain games seriously. I think the Man City game seriously last season when it meant that Arsenal might win the league. He wasn't happy about that. He fell out with Tottenham fans over that. And they clashed them at Bournemouth last week. I'm a little bit worried if I'm a Tottenham fan as to what Postecoglou might say when he goes to Glasgow this week when they're playing Rangers. You know, he's back on his old turf as Celtic manager. He might be a little bit confident. He might say something that could get him into trouble. So I think Ange the next 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks, has to be careful off the pitch as well as getting results on it, because he's not in a great place for the Tottenham fans. I think the Tottenham fans have gone a bit further than Daniel Levy right now. I think the Tottenham fans, as much as they loved him this time last season, they don't like his tactics. They think he's naive, and what he's, no manager can continue to not be at war with the fans, but kind of question the fans' view of the game. I think he's got to be careful then. I think if he says anything else and the results continue to be bad, he's in trouble.
The Rangers one's a big one as well, because they're not exactly flying at the moment. I think they're third in Scotland, which is nothing to shout about in the Scottish League when you look at who else is there. So that's, and Spurs fans will know that they are not this juggernaut of a Rangers at the moment. So that puts even more pressure on. Listen, the Romero and Van de Ven injuries are a worry, and particularly Van de Ven. As good a player as he is, and maybe it was because they rushed him back, but as good a player, and he's just looked like a machine, an absolute machine. But he's a liability if he keeps picking up these hamstring injuries. I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, you can be a Rolls Royce all you want for 4 or 5 games, but if you're missing the bulk of a season because you're this super quick player and you continually have these hamstring injuries, I believe it was his hamstring again. I don't know how bad it was, but he was out with the hamstring. He had a tweak yesterday, missed a big chunk last year with a really nasty hamstring injury. That's a problem for a manager. I mean, I've been in that scenario where, I wasn't available. At a club that was struggling in Derby and I was out injured for a long period. Managers pull their hair out because they get fired. They get fired. If senior players are not available, they get fired. And so that's a big problem. Most of us love watching them. Their football at times is good to watch, although I would say in yesterday's game, their football, when they had the ball, was more frantic, and Chelsea's was more a quality possession.
Yeah.
Quality patterns of play, 1-2s, always 2 or 3 Chelsea players around. Spurs was a kind of more up the Solanke, runners, frantic kind of play, which it can be exciting, but I thought Chelsea's was just much more measured. And a manager who even made a change at half-time, Maresca said, right, okay, natural fullback on the right and Gusto, take Lavia off, get Caicedo in the middle of the park to win these balls when Tottenham are trying to play through. So he was a manager that realised that, and he was a manager, Enzo Maresca, that knew exactly what he wanted his team to do.
Is it an easy target, Robbo, that people say that the in-game management we see from Ange isn't the quality that it should be for a Premier League coach?
Yes, to a certain degree, because you have to be able to change. You have to see, and that also comes down to the players, and the manager's got to get it across the players. We can't start diving into challenges. We're getting played around, so just sit a little bit deeper in midfield. Let's be more compact. But he won't do that because he's said to the Tottenham fans when he first took over, this is the way I play football. This is what I want. I want high intensity. We're going to win the ball back quickly. We're going to attack at pace. It's chaotic, as the word Craig mentioned. It's also at times they're gambling. Midfield players are gambling they might win the ball. Yeah. Defenders are gambling they might win the ball. And you can't win continual games like that. That's why they're inconsistent.
He's getting battered, with these social media, and you shouldn't really pay attention. But one of them made me smirk today, and I've sort of made this point a little bit. I said, Postecoglou thinks he's still playing against Kilmarnock and St Mirren. You know what I mean? It's like, well, we'll just press the life out of them, they'll hoof it up the field, they can't play. And it's kind of that sense as well, we're just going to continue to do this. But unfortunately, when you go to the better leagues, the top leagues, these players are able to play around you. They see it coming, they figure it out. They might play it tight, but they might see it coming, lob it over the top. And so I've said this before about Postecoglou. Whatever was successful for him in Australia, in Japan, and in Scotland is not necessarily going to work in the Premier League. Standards are just different.
Standards are different.